Welcome back everyone. Today I'll be covering Bella Poarch's crazy eye effects seen in her Build a Bitch music video. Alright, open up your footage in After Effects, and the first order of business is to make a cut where you want the effect to start. Now go ahead and duplicate your footage by holding Command and pressing D. Now on that top duplicated layer, rename it eye so we don't get confused as we go along. And then you can also rename that bottom layer footage. Now on that eye layer, trim it down to 1 frame, right click on that layer, and then go to time, freeze frame, and then drag it out for the duration of the effect. Now click on that footage layer and then go to tracker and track the motion of the eye for the duration of the effect. Once it's done tracking, go layer, new, null object, and then go back to the tracker, edit target, use it as the null, and then hit apply. And now I just renamed the null tracking. Now we're going to mask out the eye on the eye layer that we want to freak out, and I boosted the feather to 3. All right, now once you've done that, go ahead and parent it to the tracking layer. All right, this next step is going to take a little bit of playing around, but basically we're going to be creating a solid to match the color and the shading of the white part of your subject's eye. So go to layer, new solid, and then use a color matcher to select the most consistent color of the eyeball. So mine turned out to be this slightly brown color. So go ahead and select OK. And now I'm just gonna hit T on the keyboard to bring up the opacity and lower down the opacity just so I can see where I need to be masking out the eye. Once you've masked around the entire eyeball, then go ahead and boost up your feather a little bit. Try not to go overboard with this. Just try to make it look like it belongs there. What I like to do is go frame backwards, frame forwards between where the effect starts and before it starts, so I can see how well it's matching up as we are doing this process. If you haven't done this already, make sure that your eye layer is on top of that solid that we just created. All right, the method that we're going to use to shade this eye and try and match the shading is by creating adjustment layers, throwing Lumetri color onto it, and creating a mask on the adjustment layer to try and match what the eye looks like before we're doing the effect. Now I'm not going to show you this entire process because it took me probably like 15 minutes just to do that, because it's a little tedious. You just have to rearrange the mask, play with the feather, and then when you're putting Lumetri color on there, you know, playing with the shadows, the blacks, the exposure to try and match that color and the shading, because you have the eyelid that might be creating a shadow, you have your eyebrow, all this could be creating shadows on your actual eye, and so you need to do your best to match it. And once again, just go back and forth between where the effect starts and right before it starts to see how similar it looks. All right, we need to do one last step before we can make that eye just go and freak out any which way that it wants to. We need to duplicate our eye layer and then delete the mask that we made for it. So basically now we're going to draw a mask around the eyeball and set it to subtract. That way when we move that eye and we keyframe its position to be different areas, you won't see it just fly off the head. You'll see it disappear behind the eyelids. We have to keep in mind though that if your subject's moving, you just duplicated a freeze frame layer. So we're going to create another mask that's set to add. So basically we're just going to be creating a ring that the eye can disappear behind. All right, now once you've done that, you're ready to keyframe the position of the eye, which will be the last step. So just keyframe it, make sure it does some erratic movements, just back and forth, few frames, however you want to do that. And then don't forget to turn on the motion blur, which will really help sell that wild effect. Also keep in mind not to pass this mask that we just created so that your eye doesn't become visible somewhere else that we shouldn't be able to see it. And that's it, you're done. That is how you do Bella Poarch's crazy eye effect seen in her Build a Bitch music video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something. If you did, leave me a thumbs up, comment what you thought down below, and then subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.